Hi guys, Iron Cameraman here. Have you ever wondered why G-Toilet is always 2 steps ahead? Not just of the Alliance and the Astro Toilets, but of the entire war? While others are busy tactically planning attacks, defenses, and building clever strategies for victory, Gman has already won the game. He's ahead of everyone. Where do these conclusions come from? Well, 3 spoilers for Part 4 of Episode 77 were recently released, and fans noticed an interesting phrase, 2 steps ahead. And who else could it be if not our favorite G-Man? Exactly! No one else could come up with such a genius plan to outsmart both the Alliance and the Astro Toilets. In the new episode, they will find out what our G-Toilet is capable of. And just from one small spoiler, it becomes clear G-Man Titan will become the strongest character in the series. I think it's obvious why TV Man Titan is going to lose in Part 4. Even though he has a plan, I doubt that even with it, he'll be able to defeat the Juggernaut. And here's where G-Man comes in. He's thought everything through to the finest detail and, as always, will be the one to help TV Man Titan in this tough battle. Additionally, I'll talk about the preview from that video and when Part 4 of Episode 77 will be released. And before I forget, a percentage of my viewers watch my content but aren't subscribed, so let's at least get that number up to 30%. All you need to do is click the red button below, and a like would also help solve this problem. Anyway, here we go. Let's first dive into the spoilers that were just released. In my previous video, I went over them briefly, but today we'll examine each one in more detail. In the first spoiler, we see a very angry Juggernaut. Also, in this leak, we see some letters that are part of the phrase, 2 steps ahead, but we'll talk about that later. In the next spoiler, we see a wounded TV Man Titan. It's likely this shot was taken right after the Juggernaut and other Astros arrived. TV Man is in the same pose and spot with the same injuries, suggesting that this spoiler is literally a continuation of the last seconds of Part 3 of Episode 77. You can also see a smiley face on TV Man Titan. If you look closely, it becomes clear that he's happy about something, like his plan, mentioned in the short, is about to work. It's obvious TV Man Titan was waiting for someone and stalling for time, and at that moment reinforcements arrive. But who could it be? Many might think it's G-Man since he's present in the third spoiler as well. It's logical to assume that TV Man Titan is happy about his arrival. However, considering their complicated relationship, such an outcome seems unlikely. It's doubtful that TV Man Titan's entire plan hinges on G-Man's help. So, let's remember my previous theory, which I discussed in this video. It's more likely that TV Man Titan's plan involves an armada of Speakermen. They are the ones who could come to our Titan's aid in this difficult fight. It's no coincidence that Dafuq Boom mentioned them in the short, and we also recall an interview where he was asked, will Speaker Titan and TV Man Titan appear in Episode 77? To which he answered affirmatively. This gives us reason to believe that the armada of Speakermen, led by Speaker Titan, may indeed appear in Part 4 of Episode 77. However, there's a catch. I don't think the armada of Speakermen is fully upgraded yet. We'll probably see them in an intermediate state. After all, if they were fully ready, TV Man Scientist wouldn't have mentioned that they're still undergoing upgrades. They simply couldn't finish the process in just a few minutes, right? Let me remind you that the events in the short take place shortly before Part 1 of Episode 77, judging by its description. This means that the time between these events was too short for the upgrades to be fully completed. So most likely in Part 4, we'll see the armada of Speakermen in the process of upgrading, not in their final form. Additionally, we must consider that forming an alliance with the Toilets requires the agreements of all 3 races. That's why the armada of Speakermen will come to TV Man Titan's aid. And on this occasion, my team and I created a concept of what the new upgraded Speaker Titan might look like. He has more speakers now, as they are very effective against the Astros. He's also gained new armor that will allow him to withstand more damage. In the next spoiler, we see our beloved G-Man, who, judging by his expression, is preparing for a serious battle. First, he now has a mechanical eye on his left side. It's likely it can shoot, just like the mech suit of the Scientist. An interesting detail, by the way. In the battle against the Scientist, he had his right eye damaged, and in Episode 73, G-Man lost his left one. I kind of feel bad for them both. They're destined to be one-eyed. We also see metal parts around Gman's head, which are likely a self-assembling helmet, just like in episode 72. On the sides of his head are laser installations as before, but now they are significantly larger and more powerful. At least, that's how they appear in the spoiler. Kleiner clearly put a lot of effort into upgrading G-Toilet, and soon we'll be able to see these changes in full. Now let's move on to the most interesting part. What does the phrase "2 steps ahead" on the spoilers mean? To whom does it refer? First, it's worth mentioning that this phrase is a reference to the well-known blogger Nicocado Avocado. But to whom does this phrase belong in the context of the series? I mentioned earlier that it refers to Gman, and now let me explain why. Let's go by the method of elimination. Juggernaut and the Astro Toilets are clearly not involved, as they are unlikely to be planning any cunning strategies. Knowing their strength, they are probably just charging forward, destroying cities, agents, Skibidi Toilets, and everything in their path. So it's definitely not them. TV Man Titan could very well be the one, as Boom has been teasing his plan for weeks, which we'll see in Part 4. Perhaps this tactical plan has been brewing since the beginning of the Astro Toilet attack, and now he's ready to unveil it to shatter their dominance in the war. And what about the third candidate? Well, get ready, friends. Gman, G-Toilet, Megamind, the great tactician, and leader of the Skibidi Toilets. Call him whatever you like. But the fact remains, he is a Sigma, no doubt. Who else, if not him, could so masterfully stay 2 steps ahead playing his chess game amidst the chaos of war? His strategy isn't just a plan, it's a masterclass on how to act when everyone around thinks they've already won. You definitely don't want to mess with this guy. We all know how brilliant his plans are. He's truly very smart and cunning, so being always 2 steps ahead is his calling. Therefore, this phrase undoubtedly refers to him. G-Toilet understands the Astro Toilet's plan, TV Man Titan's plan, and has already prepared his own, which we'll see in Part 4 of Episode 77. Most likely, if TV Man Titan's plan was good enough to even defeat Juggernaut and his allies, G-Man wouldn't be participating in this battle at all, at least for his own safety, since TV Man Titan is unlikely to simply accept an alliance from his former enemy. Thus, we can assume that TV Man Titan's plan will work, but not entirely. They might be able to shake the Astro Toilets, but it's unlikely they'll fully fend them off. There's some evidence for this. First, Titan's smile and his position suggest that the plan he mentioned will begin right after the end of Part 3. And as we see in the next leak, Juggernaut is intensely destroying someone. Most likely Titan got caught in his path, meaning that his plan didn't work as well as he hoped, or maybe this is part of the plan. And it's quite possible that this is the moment when G-Man Titan will arrive to help fend off the Astros and save TV Man Titan from death. Let me remind you, the phrase about death in Part 3 was said by TV Man Titan, and it's very likely he was predicting his fate in Part 4. This is similar to the situation with Cameraman Titan from Episode 67, when at the start of the battle he pointed to the scientist with a gesture that he would cut off his head, but by the middle of the episode, he almost lost his own head. Thankfully, TV Man Titan saved him. This twist could be the very extreme situation that forces Titan to accept an alliance with G-Man. Plus, let me remind you that the phrases we see in leaks often end up being spoken by G-Man. Here's one example. Remember the second leak before the release of Part 1 of Episode 73? In the top right corner was the phrase, "You have no idea what's coming," and it was G-Man who said it.
You have no idea what's coming.
But when will Part 4 of Episode 77 be released? As I mentioned in the previous video, Dafuq is looking for animators, but SFM is giving him trouble by crashing the project. Plus, there was the recent situation with Zach Dorr, so it's likely the episode will be delayed a bit. But don't worry, Dafuq will probably release Part 4 within 2 weeks, so stay tuned. And lastly, don't forget about my game Toilet Run, which will soon have an update. Link is in the description. Bye.